Hi there, it's Thursday. It is my next live. It's Tanya Uester from my page Botanically, an alchemy of soothing botanic ingredients. And today we're continuing with my singles series and we are talking about Clary Sage. Not one of my favorites, but definitely one of the most therapeutic ones that I do have in my stash. So hopefully I'll give you some top tips today on how to use your Clary Sage, what it is known to support in your body, and then also the ways that you can incorporate it into a daily wellness routine. So welcome to those that have just joined in. I am just going to give a couple of minutes for the delay that we do see on Facebook Lives, just so everyone can come online. So if you've just joined, if you go and pop in the comments and you say hi, I'll see you there so I can give you a shout out. So far I can see we have Ulrika all the way from Namibia. Welcome. Zahira's also watching. So fantastic. Thank you for coming in. I can see there's 5 other people on there, but if you don't say hi, I can't see your name. So just go put it in the comments there so I can at least do a shout out for you. Oh, my cousin Mick is also on. Welcome, welcome. Fantastic. You'll catch the replay, Zahira. Okay, no problem. You know where to find me on my YouTube channel, so that's good. All right, so hopefully as the rest of the people start logging in, you can all just say hi so I can see you there. And then we're going to start with Clary Sage. So Clary Sage is one of those, I'd say weird smelling essential oils, because there definitely are days that I am more attracted to it compared to others, but it's still not one of my favorites. And it's got a really strong fragrance. But I do use this essential oil quite often in my wellness routine because of its benefits in specifically female hormone health. So it really supports the endocrine system. Yeah, so it's it's one of those beautiful green plants right across the year with those leaves. They're really good in gin, by the way. Sage leaves in gin, amazing. But the flowers themselves is obviously what we get the essential oil from. And this time of year, it's a beautiful purple flower. So it's really pretty in your garden if you're lucky enough to have one of those growing. Oh, you can see Jerry's also just logged in. Hello, hello, welcome. Thank you. All right, so let's get started on this Clary Sage. So Clary Sage is of course very high in esters, and this specific ester that I'm talking about is linalool acetate. And linalool acetate, or the esters as a group of chemical constituents, when you use them aromatically, are very well known for relaxing you and to soothe and to balance. So these are physically as well as emotionally. Then topically, they are also well known to rejuvenate the skin, to soothe tissues, to protect against certain kinds of environmental threats. Jill just logged in. Hello, Jill. Welcome, welcome. And then if you are going to be using a brand that is medicinal grade, so it's a certified pure brand, you're very sure of the lab results, and you know that they are not going to cause your body any harm, and the label actually says food supplement, or if there's one of those labels or those little boxes on there giving you nutritional information, that's usually a dead giveaway that it is safe for internal use. So if you are going to be able to use a brand that is internal, those high in esters usually have varying benefits. So this is sort of a case-by-case thing, case-by-case essential oil, I should rather say, for the singles, because some esters can support the health of the cardiovascular, immune system, nervous system, as well as digestive systems, but there are definitely esters that should not be used internally at all. And here, always just think, are you able to eat the plant or not? And if the plant is generally not going to cause you harm or be toxic to the body, generally, if you're using a brand that is certified pure and medicinal grade, it's also going to be safe for internal use specifically for that plant. Just always go look out for that label. All right, so let's kick off with Clary Sage, because now you sort of know the general factors about linalool acetate. It's also high in linalool, so it's one of those very calming essential oils. But I think the thing that Clary Sage is most known for is obviously endocrine support, and it's not just female, definitely does some assistance for males as well. But where Clary Sage plays a really big role is in the regulation of estrogen production. So it really is good in supporting specifically conditions where you feel discomfort or achiness, for example, in that week in the month when you are in your menstrual cycle. So there's a lot of women now where we do have like a additional pain or additional inflammation. There's definitely conditions associated with that, and although they don't necessarily the medical facility or the medical field doesn't yet have certainty exactly what causes these conditions, they are sort of seeing in research now that it's got a lot to do with what you're born with, believe it or not. So if you are born with less eggs or egg cells, or it's generally less egg cells that they are associating with that. Usually you start developing this condition a lot sooner because your body hormone-wise ages sooner than other ladies around you, right? So Clary Sage can really be of assistance there. And how you would use that is obviously quite as topically on your abdomen area, but a very good place to also use Clary Sage is on the feet. So on the inside and the outside below the ankle bones is where the reflex points sit. So that is a really good place to use your essential oil topically. Also been shown to have neurotonic and antispasmodic benefits. So here, if you start thinking about seizing up, those kind of scenarios, Clary Sage is definitely going to benefit you in those conditions as well. And let's throw in my single essential oil, what should we call it? New tradition. Let's throw in our myth and our truth quickly, right in between, while we're talking about all these beautiful properties of Clary Sage. So is the next statement a myth, or is it in fact a truth? All right, so Clary Sage can induce labor. Is that a myth or is that truth? All right, let's hope you get that right. Go pop what you think in the comments there, and let's see how clever the audience is today. All right, so we'll get to that in the end. Obviously, I'll tell you whether that's a truth or a myth. Clary Sage can cause labor. Okay, that's the statement. Go, let me know what you think the answer is there. All right, so let's move on. Also really good for prostate and urine health, or uterine, I should rather say. Hello, Rihanna. Welcome for joining. Rihanna, you've just joined, so go and pop in the comments. Do you think the following statement is truth or is it myth? Clary Sage can induce labor. Go and tell me what you think there in the comments, please. All right, so obviously very good for prostate and uterine health, and therefore it's a very good place to put it on your abdomen or on the uterine reflex points, obviously. Then that dreaded old PMS and menopause, oh dear, when the hormones start fluctuating. All right, so that's when they start going into different directions with different ratios of your hormones, especially when you're female, when you start moving into the menopausal years of your life. So here Clary Sage can be really helpful to calm down the what should we call it, the perturbedness, the irritability that comes with having certain conditions when you start aging, right? Clary Sage can definitely start assisting you there. And it can even help you when you are experiencing hot flushes. So two really good oils to use in combination. One on its own also works fine, but in combination you can make yourself a spray bottle with some Clary Sage and peppermint in it. Just always remember to shake it up because the water floats on the top. Oh, sorry, the oil floats on the top. Water and essential oils don't mix. And it's actually going to be accentuating the cooling properties, because when you add water, you're actually making the essential oil stronger in the sense. Whereas when you're adding a carrier oil, you're diluting out some of the stinging or the burning properties, if we can call it that, if you're working specifically with hot or sensitive oils. So you can pop that in a glass bottle with filtered water and then shake it up really well. And when you get those hot flushes in the evening, keep it next to your bed and you can just spray it in your neck or down your spine, and it's definitely going to provide some support there. Right, then Clary Sage actually used to be used quite a lot in traditional medicine for conditions that are associated with the eye. So start thinking about discomfort that you might feel in the eye area. Now, please, under no circumstances, ever put an essential oil into your eye. That is a really sensitive area. Just don't. Just don't do it, okay? But Clary Sage has been known through history to be very supportive for discomfort in the eye area. So here we're thinking specifically conditions where your eyes are really irritable, when they get really red and inflamed. Then pop some of the Clary Sage around your eye area, not inside ever, okay? That's a big no-no. Please. I can see some hearts coming up. Someone obviously enjoyed that one. All right, and then obviously because of the high concentration of linalool acetate, also has linalool in there, it is going to be a really calming oil. So incredibly good to support good quality sleep. There we go. If you like the smell of Clary Sage, if you're me, not so much, then I would apply it underneath the feet instead of a diffuser, because then you don't smell it, but you're going to get the therapeutic benefits. Hello, Nicolene. Welcome. Thanks for joining. All right, so obviously if we start looking at the emotional side of Clary Sage, it can definitely assist you from feeling limited to becoming enlightened, to having that feeling of you are being enlightened. And the reason why is because it's so very heavily involved in supporting the endocrine or the hormone system. Because when our hormones are a little bit out of kilter, we tend to react. And if you're not someone who regularly practices self-care, for example, and meditation or those kind of quiet times, your resilience at actually, before reacting, sitting and realizing, oh dear, the hormones are fluctuating again. You know, if you're not realizing it, when you're doing the meditation, all those kind of things, you sort of learn to experience what your body is feeling and to delay your reaction and start thinking about it first. So Clary Sage can definitely assist you. Hello Fiona, welcome. Nice to see you on today. So those are the top uses for Clary Sage, and the three words that sort of can describe Clary Sage in a nutshell is balancing, musky, and feminine. But because of the muskiness, obviously a lot of males actually like the smell of Clary Sage too. Hello Sue, welcome, welcome. For those of you that joined late, I'm going to be answering the question soon, but maybe just go and pop in the comments, is the following statement a myth or a truth? So the statement was, Clary Sage can induce labor. All right, so is that truth or is that myth? Please go and pop that in the comments for me. All right, so just before we end off and we get to the real answer of Clary Sage, the top properties, so those three are the words, the balancing, the masculine, the feminine, those are the three words that describe Clary Sage, and the top properties include things like being a neurotonic, so really good for the nervous system. It's anticoagulant, also very sedative because of the high concentration of linalool acetate and linalool in there, and also antispasmodic, so thinking here about all those muscle contractions and those kind of scenarios. Okay, so you can see very versatile oil here. And probably not as versatile as some of the core oils, but definitely when you start looking at hormone health, which is so heavily connected to everything else in your body, please go and get yourself some Clary Sage because it's really going to go a long way in supporting your health, especially if you're going to start using it and incorporate it on a daily basis, because it's going to assist your body with the regulation of the estrogen. The essential oils that blend really well with Clary Sage include geranium, lavender, neroli, yarrow, and ylang ylang. And ylang ylang is one of my absolute favorites. So I do find that when I do blend Clary Sage with some other flower oils, that incredible muskiness that I'm not necessarily so fond of sort of dies down a bit, and then it obviously smells a little bit better. But if you're like me and you're not a fan, eat the leaves and put it into gin. Really good taste, but rather apply the Clary Sage to the bottom of the feet. Okay, so I can see there were only a couple of answers coming through there on the truth or the myth side. I obviously had a stumper for you guys today, but from all of you that answered, most of you actually answered correctly. So doulas very regularly use Clary Sage when they're assisting the mothers to start inducing labor. Okay, so it is a truth. Clary Sage can help in inducing labor. And for that very reason, there's a safety precaution, right? So you should not be using Clary Sage in any way, whether you're using it topically or internally or even in a diffuser. You should not be using Clary Sage in the early stages of your pregnancy. Great, so hope you learned something about your Clary Sage today, how you're going to be blending it with other essential oils. Because it is a flower oil, again, it's very good for the skin as well. And if you are going to be wanting to use these oils internally, always go and reach for one that says food supplement on the label. So glad you could join today. I hope to see you all again next week for my next episode in my singles series. And if you want to go and catch the replay, always remember, I do go and load this to my YouTube channel. You can go and subscribe there and be alerted when a new video has been loaded. So thank you so much for joining. See you all soon. Cheerio.